Welcome to the Baseball Insiders, live from the winter meetings. I am Adam Weinrib, joined as always by FanSided's MLB insider Robert Murray. Huge news overnight. Juan Soto will not be a Boston Red Sox. He also won't be a New York Yankee. Would Juan Soto really leave the Mets and Yankees if the money was pretty much equal? Well, the money wasn't pretty much equal. The escalators could take it up to $55 million in his later years, but still the answer is, yup. He willingly left the New York Yankees after 1 year, joined the Mets, and changed the future of that franchise. Both the Yankees and Red Sox have to pivot, as well as the Blue Jays. Some plan Bs to go around. A lot of movement expected this week at the winter meetings, I presume, because there are so many balls in the air. And to talk me through, give us the first update since the Soto domino fell is FanSided's own Robert Murray. Robert, how'd you sleep? You are now awake. Technically, are you awake in reality? How you feeling?
I'm awake. I picked a terrible time to fly to the winter meetings because I was standing waiting to board my flight last night, and then I found out that Soto was probably happening, and I'm thinking to myself, "Oh crap!" And all of a sudden, mid-flight, it happens. 5 minutes later, I lose Wi-Fi for the rest of the flight. So it could have been a lot worse. It could have been way worse. But Soto is officially the New York Met. We got some details on what all went down there. Have details on what's going to follow for what's surely going to be a very active next few days. Cannot wait to break it down. Adam Weinrib, how are you doing? Are you awake? Are you sleeping? Are you sad? What are you feeling?
I am good. I couldn't sleep last night, but not out of anger. It was weird at like midnight. I just felt like it was 3:30 p.m. And I was like, I don't know what the hell's going on. I mean, just an all-time jarring thing to see that Hal Steinbrenner offered $760 million for anybody, and even more jarring to find out that it wasn't enough or really close. Hopefully we'll find out more. We'll probably find out some dirt in the coming days about the Yankees meeting and his year in New York and whatnot. I'm excited for audio listeners. I did some big old fat air quotes, overexcited. But if you want to talk to us between shows, recommend joining the Discord where Robert and I will answer questions as best we can. At the All-Star tier, you also get priority questions in this chat. We're going to hopefully get to some of your questions later. This will obviously be a quick show, just a nice half-hour update because we're going live every morning from the winter meetings, finding a time. So please subscribe and turn your notifications on so you know when we're going live. We are aiming for 12:30 Eastern, but obviously stuff can shuffle daily. Today, we shuffled. We're excited to keep bringing you insight from the ground, thanks to Robert being out there in Dallas. And also subscribe to the Moonshot. That's our weekly baseball email newsletter where the FanSided MLB team, including Robert Murray, obviously will break down all the biggest stories in the big leagues with humor, insight, and behind-the-scenes info. So join us for that. Let's give credit to Steve Cohen and the Mets first. Before talking about pivots, before talking about plan Bs, the reality, hey, you can get on their case for being in the NL with the Dodgers and having a rotation that's incomplete. And, he went from Aaron Judge to Mark Vientos. I would caution everyone that the offseason is not over. I would also caution everyone making fun of the Mets in any capacity to realize what Steve Cohen just did, realize that the limits are not there and the guardrails don't exist, and he will do whatever it takes in the pursuit of a championship. So you can clown on Clay Holmes in the rotation now. Just be prepared to bring that same energy down the line when he has further transformed this roster in the pursuit of a title. Robert, what's going on? What are you hearing about the Mets? And obviously they're, I assume, pretty ecstatic that they were able to get this over the finish line.
Yeah, they're absolutely thrilled to get Juan Soto. And it's a credit to Steve Cohen, and it's what a lot of these teams that were involved in the bidding, and even some of these teams that were on the outside of the bidding, what they feared is that Steve Cohen would not be denied here. And the Yankees ended up putting together a 16-year, $760 million contract offer to Juan Soto. It was not enough, and Cohen ended up getting the $765 with escalators to get it to over $800 million. Gave him an opt-out, gave him everything that he ended up wanting, and it was an offer that Soto and Boris could not turn down. It was an offer that the Yankees could not match. I first want to start with Steinbrenner here, and Hal Steinbrenner. Like he's gonna get flack for this, but I give him credit for going to a level that he had not previously done. I know it hurts to say that we tried. I know it hurts to see Soto like leave and go across town and go to Queens. Like it sucks, but it was not for a lack of effort. He gave it everything that he could, everything that he had. But it ultimately was not enough. And now Soto it's a franchise altering move for the Mets here. You're getting a generational talent, a 26-year-old for the next 15 years. Obviously, you don't know what he's going to be at the back end of the contract, but as far as the front end of the contract, you're getting a face of the franchise kind of player. You're getting a guy who's going to add instant pop, instant credibility to that lineup, and the Mets are not going to be done. Like, I would imagine they're still going to try to be in conversations with Pete Alonso. They're going to be in conversations to continue to further bolster that roster. And that's just what comes with the territory of having Steve Cohen as your owner. There is nothing that can be ruled out whatsoever. It's the first, there's been other moves before this, but it's the first true big splash for the Mets. I don't necessarily think they're done because that roster has plenty of holes. But their number one priority this offseason was Juan Soto. They got him, and I'm very curious to see what exactly is going to go on next for the Mets because they're not done. They're not done at all.
Yeah, I mean, the Dodgers and Mets are officially in a different stratosphere than the Yankees, Red Sox, all the other big spenders. Other teams can spend. Other teams can win the World Series. You can win the World Series without spending, maybe. But the Dodgers and Mets have officially separated themselves from the rest of the competition, which includes the Yankees. You mentioned that 760 over 16 years. It just came out that there was a $60 million signing bonus. They got up from 712 to 760, according to Ken Rosenthal. That is a wild offer. I will just be able to say Hal Steinbrenner waved the "we tried" flag. He should be proud, but also you lost. So, and the fact that it was kind of a close loss and it relied on some late contract escalators do make you wonder what was more appealing from the Mets pitch other than the contract figures. Was there anything? I kind of suspect that there were some things, but we'll hopefully find out in the days to come. This leaves the Yankees with that sizable offer. The Red Sox, $700 million over 15, we heard. The Blue Jays, we know, were willing to go pretty high. The Dodgers lagged behind, but not that far behind. They offered $600 million whatever dollars. But the Yankees and Red Sox and Blue Jays are the main teams picking up the pieces this morning. And I suspect we're going to hear those three teams tied to basically everyone until the winter meetings is over. Teoscar, Santander, Burns, Fried. Like, those three teams are going to be involved on every player until that player chooses his destination. But what specifically are you hearing about potential plan Bs for, obviously Yankees, because they had Soto, but Red Sox as well, who vowed to spend, and the Jays, who people keep saying are going to do something crazy?
Yeah, I think as far as the Yankees go, I think they can look at Santander. I think they can look at a Max Fried. They can look at a Corbin Burns. Their offer to Soto absolutely confirms that they have plenty of money to spend this offseason. And to me, they have to go out and get maybe one or two of those guys, but you also have to go out and get some other players as well, because this roster, they have plenty of holes on it right now. They are not close to a finished product by any means. To me, if I'm the Yankees, I would go out and spend on at least one or two of those guys. I know their meeting with Max Fried went very well, and he's had a very extensive market, and he's got a lot of interest. As far as the Blue Jays go, their natural pivot to me is Corbin Burns. I think Burns would be a real strong option atop that rotation. He's from the California area. He's got plenty of ties there. I was thinking of a different team. Anyways, I think Burns is a natural fit for the Blue Jays. I think he is. I think that to me makes a lot of sense for them. I don't know if Burns would want to go to Canada because that's pretty far from where he grew up in California. But to me, the Blue Jays have to be in a position where they have to give him a contract that he cannot refuse, or they just have to go out and do everything they can to sign him. The team I was thinking of before was the San Francisco Giants for Burns. He grew up in California, makes a lot of sense for them. I don't necessarily know how much I buy their interest, especially after signing Willy Adames, which we'll get into in a little bit. When I say I don't buy their interest, I don't know. Like, I'm sure they're very interested in the player. Like, how can you not be? He's a Cy Young candidate atop that rotation, but it's going to cost a lot of money. It's going to cost over $200 million. I'm kind of skeptical about how much or how willing the Giants would be to spend on a contract like that. So we'll see, but those are the kind of options that I'm thinking as of right now.
I also have to note Server Cop in the mentions. Could we see Arenado traded in the next 2-3 days, and what teams might have interest there? That ties directly to, I think a lot of people thought the Red Sox or Yankees might end up pivoting to Willy Adames if they did not sign Juan Soto, and he was the only big resounding name to come off the board before the Soto chase ended. Tyler O'Neill as well, Gary Sanchez. Too bad the Yankees couldn't pivot and go grab Gary Sanchez. But Willy Adames made a lot of sense for Yankees. They could pop him over to third base, keep Volpe at short, or move Volpe to second, what have you. The Red Sox, there were rumors they made a detailed presentation to Adames about his splits at Fenway. We love his leadership. We talked on previous pods that the team that gets Adames and Burns or Adames and Fried might end up succeeding more than the team that splashes cash on Soto next year alone. I don't know. I think it was, who knows? Obviously, it's harder to pair those guys now. And if the Giants, it's on the Giants to pair Adames with somebody because that's who came down with him. What can you tell us about that deal and obviously, I guess, the Arenado destinations now that Adames is off the board for so many teams that are still searching?
Yeah, as far as Adames goes, I'm under the impression this deal came together pretty quickly because I had heard even 48 hours before this before he ended up signing that his market was slowly starting to develop and that they were kind of waiting for Juan Soto's deal to end up happening before they really started to react. But the Giants ended up getting aggressive. They ended up getting the deal done, and it's the richest contract in franchise history for the Giants. And to me, I've been on record on this podcast many times in my support for Willy Adames. I think from a locker room perspective, I think for on the field perspective, you're not going to get. There's not many players who can offer what Willy Adames does, and he's a culture-setting player. And to me, it was a really smart move by Buster Posey for his first big splash in San Francisco. They're not done by any means, but for the Giants to go out and get Willy Adames and identify him and target him as the next face of the franchise while giving him a contract that's in line with about the Dansby Swanson deal, I think it's great value for the Giants. I know it's above some expectations or some projections, but that's, to me, is a culture-setting move, and it's going to help some of those younger players that they have there develop because he was known for doing that in Milwaukee. As far as what this means for a Nolan Arenado trade, I would expect that I do not expect Arenado to be a Cardinal next year. That is my current expectation. As far as the market goes, you have to look at his contract and how big it is, the no trade clause, and the fact that he's a declining player, like offensively and defensively. And he's obviously he's willing to go to a different position, as reported by Katie Wu of The Athletic. But still, all those factors together, it's going to limit his trade market. He obviously posted the Instagram thing with the Dodgers song. So maybe he's got them in his eyes. I don't know. But I think his market is going to be pretty limited. But I think the Cardinals are going to be at a point now where moving on from that salary is going to be a priority. And I would expect him to go. Maybe I don't know if it's going to happen at the winter meetings, but I think it happens this offseason. And I don't know. We'll see. Nothing's guaranteed, but I think there's a fair shot of that.
They're definitely setting the groundwork at the winter meetings, and we will see what happens from here on out. Before we get to a few questions, I just want to ask about anything else you're hearing after arriving, things that you're expecting to get done or get close this week. Yeah. We were sort of inundated by Garrett Crochet rumors last night before Soto took hold of all the headlines. You got the Reds in there. You got the Yankees in there for some reason. You got the Red Sox at the periphery, but maybe if they include Marcelo Meyer, that changes. So any other doors that you've heard open other than maybe the top tier names that could get done or have progress made on them this week?
Yeah, I'll first start with somebody who actually got done is Shane Bieber with the Guardians. Mm-hmm. I reported on Fanside the other day that the Red Sox made a significant push for Shane Bieber. That is true. Their offer was very competitive. And at one point, I actually did think Bieber was going to Boston. But at the last second, the Guardians ended up offering Bieber that the 1 year contract. They always had the 1 year on the table, but they ended up including the player option. And that was important to Bieber. And so, too, is the familiarity with the organization, familiarity with everything that comes with that franchise. It's also got a baby coming on the way, and staying in Arizona for spring training and not having to go to Florida for spring training was a big part of that as well. It was not a Boston issue. He was very impressed by them, but ultimately he wanted to be with the Guardians. They ended up getting the deal done. I don't know what that means for his upcoming free agency, whether it's in a year or two. We'll see. But Boston was very keen on Shane Bieber, and they were pretty disappointed not to get him. As far as one player I think could go at the winter meetings, actually, one player who could go at the winter meetings, but also is a strong candidate to sign this week is Nathan Eovaldi. He has got pretty significant interest, and I'm watching that one this week. He's someone who is drawing a lot of interest from what I've told. Garrett Crochet he's got a very strong market right now. There's plenty of teams in. As I've said on this podcast before, I would very much expect him to get traded this offseason. The White Sox have a number of different suitors there. I'm not sure if it gets done this week, but there's plenty of teams motivated to go out and get him. So that is one to watch in my eyes for sure. And lastly, a guy that I'm under the impression has a pretty strong market as well as Jeff Hoffman. Teams are eyeing him as both a reliever and a starting pitcher. And I'm not surprised whatsoever that he's getting interest as a starting pitcher because the starting pitching prices right now are just astronomically high. And teams are being creative and trying to find ways to upgrade the rotation. And he's a candidate to do that. I think he's going to be in a position to land a very nice deal in free agency. And he's one to watch for sure.
Perfect. All right. Good to know. We'll update everyone on that process as the week continues. We got some Garrett Crochet questions. The chat is trolling me for calling Marcello Meyer. Oh my God. Sorry, your highness. My bad. Got a couple of people asking for Pirates rumors as well. So good to start. I think there's been this sort of Pirates Red Sox rumor circulating to hit a couple of our teams. People want to know about Bubba Chandler. I'm not sure where this originated, but you've got Boston adjacent people like Lou Merlone talking about it. So just any validity to that whatsoever, or anything you're hearing on the Pirates otherwise?
No, first I want to say Lou is one of my guys, is a longtime follower and supporter of mine. So I appreciate you, Lou. I don't know if he's the one who came up with that, but I did not know this was a thing until I checked the Discord, and I sent a couple texts, and I got a response within 15 seconds that just said, nah, a.k.a. Bubba Chandler ain't going anywhere. The Pirates are not in any hurry whatsoever to move him. He is I would be flat out stunned if the Pirates traded Bubba Chandler. He is going to be a long-time piece with them unless something changes that I don't know. But Chandler ain't going anywhere. We could put that rumor to bed. Yeah.
Let's do it. Well, we'll put it to bed. Thank you for the question, of course, Baron, in the Discord. Another question, I kind of want to touch on Devin Williams. We have Brundo asking if the Brewers were close on anything. We heard Yoan Moncada rumors, and obviously Devin Williams is someone that we know is likely to be traded, but haven't heard about Devin in a while. So any updates there?
Yeah, Devin Williams is drawing plenty of trade interest, and the Brewers are having conversations there. To me, he's in a spot where it's very similar to what they had with Josh Hader and Corbin Burns. And he's got a year left on his contract. And at those points, the Brewers ended up moving on from both players. Willy Adames was an outlier in that case because they just valued him so much in the clubhouse and what he brought on the field. I think if the right offer came to be, they would accept the Williams trade. And I think there's so many different teams who make sense for Devin Williams because he's got some of the best stuff in baseball. He is an elite closer. He is just everything you want in a late inning option. I know he had the meltdown against the Mets that prompted the Brewers to get eliminated, but he's still one of the best closers in baseball. One team I've heard that is like poking around in the relief market still is the Los Angeles Dodgers. I'm not saying that I'm not connecting the Dodgers and Williams by any means, but they like big game. They like big fish. Is that something maybe they could do? I don't know. That's my own speculation. Before the aggregators go out and get that one. But that's something that's, I don't know, a thought that's in my head right now.
Meltdown against the Mets. You talking about Devin Williams or Hal Steinbrenner? Either way, good to touch on that. Yeah, the aggregator's going to be all over this one. They're going to aggregate me snapping at that guy for questioning my pronunciation in the comments. Look, comes with the territory. I had a long night. Okay, I had to write about Juan Soto going to the New York Mets for $7 trillion. People want to talk about Josh Naylor, and I do as well, because the first base market, I feel like, might heat up, especially with the Yankees have a big gap there. Bellinger, the first base center fielder. We're all looking at Bellinger and the Yankees as a fit, but they still should play in that market. Naylor, Lamont Wade, Christian Walker has been a rumored plan B. So I guess possibility of a Naylor trade this week, and also just what you're hearing in that camp in general.
Yeah, I mean, it makes total sense that Naylor's getting trade talk as far as on Twitter, and even teams checking in, because the Guardians don't have a very extensive history of paying their players once they're due for the big payday. I mean, Jose Ramirez was one of the exceptions there, but he is a really talented player. He's got 30-plus homer potential. He ended up doing it last year. And if you look at a team like the Yankees, that would be a natural fit to go out and try to trade for him. But that being said, would you want to trade for him and give up a boatload of prospects, or would you rather go out in free agency and sign a guy like Christian Walker and not give up any prospects? That to me is a big factor in this. And if I was the Yankees, I would put Christian Walker over the hump for me. So the Yankees, to me, are going to be on. They're going to have to call on all of these guys. They got to they got to upgrade that roster in a big way, because after losing Juan Soto, you got to imagine actually, you don't got to imagine. There's definitely panic in the fan base, and you got to calm them down somehow. And going and getting a Christian Walker, going and getting a Max Fried, going out and getting some other players as well would be a very good way of cooling them down. But as far as Naylor goes, I don't think the Guardians are going to be in a true hurry to move on from him, because I don't think he's a free agent until 2026. But if they do move him now, I mean, you're going to end up getting a pretty nice haul for the Guardians there.
Perfect. I would agree on Christian Walker. Again, we know the Yankees have $760 million burning a hole in their pocket, so don't spend it all, but spend some. Go ahead and spend some. This has been awesome, and people, it's a good podcast when it's only 23 minutes and people in the comments are constantly asking me if I'm okay. So that's always a good vibe for me. I'm definitely going to take that, pocket it, go back.
I'm serious about the Soto stuff. You look and sound great, Adam.
I feel good. I feel fine. Look, there's never going to be a free agent like Juan Soto ever again. The Yankees are going to have to prove they could be competitive in the top portion of the market. But the top portion of the market for Kyle Tucker and Vlad Jr. and what have you, if that reaches 760 to 800 million, I would be very surprised. So the Yankees have taken a body blow, obviously. And the Yanks Go Yard podcast will be live on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, continuing to talk through the winter meetings. We have some fun guests. We have Danny Wexelman tomorrow. So please join me over there if you want to watch more Cope. But look, undeniably, the Yankees took a hit last night, and the Mets made a huge statement. And now it's on the Yankees to respond, and none of the responses are as good as Juan Soto. So that's where I'm at. I'm fine, but it's tough.
No, it is tough, and I'll say this too for you. You know this, Adam, but this is for everyone else that's out there panicking about their teams not making moves. Drew, yeah. I'm looking at you.
Some of you folks out there, yes.
Yeah, the offseason is literally just beginning. The winter meetings are starting today. There's plenty of players who are unsigned. There's a lot of really talented players available, both in free agency and via trade. It's going to be okay. You don't have to worry about your GMs or president of baseball ops people sleeping, because they are wide awake here at the winter meetings. I am going to be heading down to the lobby here in a little bit. I got a shower because I just got back from the gym. The games don't stop while I'm at the winter meeting, so that's always good. But we're going to be dropping plenty of info over here. And my notebook is going to continue to get more and more full as I spend more time here. I have countless meetings going on the next 72 hours, so let's get weird. But I appreciate everyone who tuned in today. Adam, I appreciate you for bumping up the show today with me and doing this with me. It's not possible without you. Let's do it again tomorrow. What do you think?
I think that's a good idea. I appreciate you. It's the best time of the year. I would move these shows. I would do anything to make sure these shows happen. So turn your notifications on. Subscribe to the channel. You should see us at 12:30 Eastern tomorrow. It might be a different time. Regardless, you definitely will see us recapping the action. I see you in the comments, people trying to bait me into mispronouncing Marcelo Meyer again. I learned something today. I learned it's Marcelo. There we go. I think the Red Sox probably have to include him to get a Crochet deal done. I think that's the reason that Chris Cotillo said they were hanging out on the periphery. But we will see. We got 4 days of winter meetings to get closer to the finish line there. So, again, subscribe, notifications on, join us in the Discord in the interim. We will continue to break things down. We'll have another big show tomorrow, hopefully with even more notes from the notebook as things develop and Plan B's move and the Yankees and Red Sox and Blue Jays take their shot at getting even. Until tomorrow, Robert Murray, thank you so much for joining me and making this happen.
Hey, thank you, man. I can't wait to do it again tomorrow. Let's make it happen. But I appreciate you, Adam. I appreciate everyone in the comments. Joanne, our lovely producer, we appreciate you. And we'll see you all mañana.
Let's go. See ya.